some semblance of order. Last week we talked about telling the story. Tonight we'll work on that. Good evening. And then after we have the chance to tell our story, we'll move to talking about naming the hurt, and that will be assignment for the second week. So, on telling the story, Mary and Aaron are new to us tonight. So I'll have you both sit with me, because they had homework that they did.
In a way.
Yeah, that they thought a lot about.
Was there one for tonight? I don't know. This is last week.
So we will need to split ourselves into smaller groups. So there's only 4 gentlemen, so let's have the 4 gentlemen take yourselves over there, pull up chairs, tell your stories to each other. The facts, and then the emotions. Yep, go ahead. And tonight we told our stories, things you should be asking yourself in the week to come. When you were telling your story, were you able to tell the story in such a way that the person or people who harmed you, you could see their humanity? Again, it doesn't mean that it's okay what they did. It just means that you're able to come to the basic place where you understand a human being did this thing, and I know why human beings act that way, right? That's the seminal question at first. It gives you some emotional distance, it restores the humanity of the person who hurt you, and it helps you in step 2, which is naming the hurt. So once you can tell the story internally, especially, right, of how a human being, for whatever set of reasons, came to the place where they were willing to treat you the way they did, then you're pretty far into the process. The next thing that you can do then from that state of mind is to say, what is the actual damage that was done? Because most of the time, we spiral and we give people who have harmed us much more power than they should have, and we feel much more wounded than we are. So I'll go over my work on naming the hurt from my story last week of my brother. So if you look down at the bullet points, right, this is my review of the story when I'm thinking, well, what do I really have to forgive? 1, I fought with my brother over his desire to tell a shaming story to friends, right? I told the story and I recognized that he was still relating in an unhealthy way that we learned as children. I did that last week. I was hurt by his disrespect. I was surprised to find that he wanted to still harm me. And I was angry because he attempted to shame me in my own home and in front of my friends, right? But here comes the word. My friends and Marilyn didn't care about his story. And they felt bad for my brother because they could see he was not healthy to be conducting himself that way. They did not change their opinions about me. That would have been harmful if I had to try to go around and make up, right, because people listened to Dennis on that night. The pain that my brother caused was therefore very limited. His actions triggered old wounds and pain from a long time ago. I have been working on forgiveness and being free from the past, and his actions inform me that I have more work to do, which is a way of saying, when I really analyze it, even the hurt that he put in my life was instructive and told me the truth. I wasn't as finished with forgiving some of the past as I thought I was. Otherwise, it wouldn't have had so much power. Right? So, yet they also reminded me of how far I have come. I have made a great deal of progress, but you know, on the big things in life, right? And I assume most of you are working with big things. You'll be working on it maybe for the rest of your life. The point isn't perfection and to get to a place where you're perfectly whatever. The point is to be better than you were before, right? To be more free and more present in your current relationships. And then finally, I think the lasting impact of his actions will likely be that I try hard to share with him the peace that I have found in forgiving and trying to forgive. It's strange but true, but I feel genuine sorrow for him, and I would like him to help him be more free from our shared past than he is, right? Because he hasn't done the work. He doesn't he doesn't really belong to a church that does anything much more than the surface level Christianity. And so he feels like I did way back when I started to try to figure out how do you actually forgive people. And I can say honestly, there's really no anger left in me. I just hope that in my relationship with him that I'll be able to be an agent that can help him at least consider either the forgiveness challenge or mending the soul or some other healthy practices. Because it's a long life if you're dragging around past. So when I name the hurt, there's almost nothing there, which makes the next step for me really easy, right? He didn't really harm me in any way. He inflamed old wounds that I still need to be taken care of, but that's it. He didn't hurt my reputation in church. He didn't hurt my ability to earn a living. He didn't hurt my marriage. He didn't hurt my friendships. He tried maybe, but he really didn't accomplish anything. That may not be your story. Your story may be, wow, it did hurt my relationship in the family, right? And it hampered me in these other ways. That's great, right? Name the hurt and make it the size that it should be. Address the things that have actually happened that the person has done to you. Also be willing to own that some of what feels like was done to you is your own stuff, right? So if you're limping around with a bunch of unfinished business and somebody pokes at you, man, that hurts like crazy. It feels a lot bigger than it actually is. And a part of the forgiving is not just finding an organized, systematic way to forgive other people. It is to confront where you actually are and to recognize what you need to be doing, right? And so both of those will come up. Are we good? So you've got the example of naming the hurt in front of you. Same thing as last week, right? Write it out. Or if you're particularly enlightened, just think it. And that'll be swell. I'm interested to know, did anybody pick a really easy, small incident to forgive?
No.
One?
No.
Yeah, of course not. No, well, we said that last week, right? You're supposed to pick small, but nobody ever does. We pick the giants because we're sick of lugging them around. Has anybody returned the rock? I'm happy to report I was able to, but keep in mind, I also picked something that wasn't that big of a deal. And hilariously, when I got to work last Thursday morning, I sat down and there's a photo of my mom on the bookshelf, and it has 2 rocks on it. And I can't remember, did I not take them back?
Yeah.
Right? So there'll be 2 more rocks on the altar this coming Sunday. I thought that was pretty rare. That's right. So I've already returned 1 rock. I'll be returning the others. Great. So again, now you have 2 steps, right? So what you're going to find is that as you name the hurt, you're going to be going back and telling the story. Remember, the strength in telling the story is to be able to convince yourself of the truth that it was a human being who harmed you, and that all human beings harm other people. There are reasons. They don't excuse the pain. Oftentimes in our group we talked about, well, you're imprinted, right? What do you know about life? Basically what you learn as a kid growing up, and what are you most likely to go on and then do? What was done to you, right? And that goes for the people who harmed us too. So, okay, are we good? Questions? Observations?
What is the rock?
Oh, Mary, I'll bring you one next week.
Okay.
So what we do is on Sunday to start this thing, we have little pebbles laid out, and we ask people to pick one for what they're going to be working on, right? And keep it with them 24/7 wherever they go until it feels like you really have been able to forgive. And then on your own time to come in sometime and to lay it on the altar at the church.
Oh.
Right. In my younger days, I thought we would have like a big pyramid of rocks. But we don't. What we end up with is 10, 15 each year during the season of Lent. And then really, all of the time, at really unexpected times, I'll walk into church, say hi to musicians, look, and there'll be a stone set there. Right? So people work for a very long time sometimes before they bring their rock back. Okay?
Well, I didn't know you could do it year round.
When you're ready. Right? We've also found a couple times at the front door of the church, right?
Oh, okay.
people lay them out in ways that we absolutely know. So, there's your assignment, name the hurt, and keep working on your story, and we'll be back next week, 5:30 for dinner, 6 for worship, 6:30 for class.
I didn't
Are we
know
good?
what you guys do this every.
All right,
Yeah.
blessings.
It's all-
I'm still new